What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's House Divided. Orange was live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. Do us a solid. Like, comment, subscribe. All those things would be nice. And if you want to jump into the Specs chat, chat it up. Text Blondo5 already in the Specs chat. Look, she's already up on the screen. Yes, a lot of young talent in the portal need some experience. A lot of portal discussion today, Chad. It's portal day. Yay!
Yes, it is portal day. And before we do anything else, Jeff Ketchum, I need to let everybody know we do have the graphics department, specifically Blake, the super producer, working on a new Portal Combat intro. But if you look carefully at the Portal Combat intro that we are currently using, one of these guys actually jumped into the portal again today. See if you can figure out who it is.
Get over here!
Did you catch him?
I counted two.
There's at least, I guess technically,
there are four players in that. You need to rewatch that, Chad.
Wait, you're saying there's two guys that got into the portal today?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I thought it was just Hudson. Who did I miss?
Jonte Cook officially in the portal today.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
that. I think we've all known that was going to happen, but it's a little bit like Freddie DuBose. We knew that he was going to end up in the portal, and then technically today is because it's portal day.
Okay, there you go. Good for him. Look, I'm sitting alone on like a card table.
I didn't know who you were talking about because I was like, well, it could have been either of those two guys.
That's true. I guess it is technically two of them. So yeah, Micah Hudson is now technically Micah enters from A&M in the portal today. Technically, I think, even though he really never spent.
This kind of goes to the whole get into the portal and land at a school for 5 minutes and then, circumvent that whole you can't transfer from one SEC school to another. You just need to be forward thinking a little bit.
Right. Yeah, see, that's the thing where Micah could get caught the other way because now since he's technically coming from A&M, he can't do an SEC school. He should have done it the other way. He should have started with A&M, then go to Tech briefly.
He's just not tripping about lawsuits and is like, hey, man, the SEC, if the SEC and the NCAA want some, they can come get some. Somebody eventually is going to feel that way, probably sooner rather than later. But Chad, it is the opening of the spring portal. I haven't done a show since the Longhorns picked up a commitment from Emmett Mosley the fifth from Stanford just the other day. I think it's a much bigger deal. First of all, I think in a world where he's in the portal and not yet committed, he's probably behind Nico, the number 2 portal guy for me that would be in the portal. I don't know that enough credit is being given to how well he played in the last 3 games of the season, 26 catches. I want to say 300 plus yards, 5 touchdowns. He had a monster game against Louisville, a top 20 team at the time. Like, this is a guy that by the end of his freshman season was really producing. What he's not is a burner. We talked about that on Monday on the show, that his number one skill isn't the thing that I think we believe this offense needs more than anything else, which is somebody to blow the top off of opposing defenses. But I would argue that they also don't have, based on what we know that this team has right now, I don't know that they had a bona fide, absolute move the chains kind of a guy that can be a quarterback's best friend. And I think we anticipate Ryan Wingo being a certain type of receiver, but I don't know. Possession receiver seems to have like a negative connotation to it. Man, every really good quarterback needs somebody on 3rd and 7 that they know who they can go to, that guy to be that guy. And I think this is who this guy started to become at the end of last season for Stanford. I think his skill set will be very quarterback friendly. And I think this is a guy that's going to catch a lot of footballs, not just this season, but next season. It's not a one-year rental deal. I'm a big fan of the Emmett Mosley pickup. Now, there have been other receivers in the portal that I liked as well. It's not as if there's only been a couple of those. It is the one position that in the portal, it feels like guys become available in pretty large numbers. I think there probably will be another. I think the thing that maybe would excite you the most about him is that I don't think he's your number one wide receiver guy to get in the portal. I bet in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll look back at this and say, oh, he's the Robin to a Batman. And then it may turn out that like a year ago when we thought Matthew Golden was the Robin to Isaiah Bond's Batman, that maybe sometimes the Robin outperforms Batman. You never know. I do think there's one more guy that's in the portal right now that's absolutely worth talking about today, Chad, as far as guys that are in who would turn Texas's eye. I will just say this. Again, another guy that we've talked about.
Are we staying with the receivers? Or are you going to another position?
Well, I'm going to another position.
Okay.
I think Jack Indries, the tight end from Cal. Arch is following him on his socials, as are a number of other current Texas football players. They would have no reason to even know who this guy is. Now he's in the portal, and sometimes social media activity isn't a dead giveaway, but sometimes it is. And I think in this instance, one to keep an eye on. We know that they want to address the tight end position. This is a guy that was very productive on a Cal team a year ago. If he's as good as it gets, they will have improved the position. But the idea that maybe you could get this guy, but I think he's a guy Texas will absolutely be interested in. And if we're talking about top 5 guys available in the portal right now, he's got to be in that conversation, I think.
Interesting. And I love a good social media detective work job. That's excellent. Very nice.
When you click on the guy's name and it's like followed by Arch Manning, and then it says, and 11 others, it's like, oh, okay.
It's good stuff.
I don't even need to know who the 11 others are. If Arch is on it, it is a little bit like in Pulp Fiction, hearing that the wolf has showed up to solve a problem. Oh,
yeah.
You sent the wolf? Say no more. And that's kind of how it felt when I was looking at this kid's social media today. And I was like,
that is beautiful. I got a follow-up for you on Emmett Mosley here in a second. We want to remind everybody to throw in on the chat. If you want to get us a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the list. Also, shout out to Texas Card House, who brings you the show each and every day, and Hijack Poker. Go to hijackpoker.com. Get that app on any device you want. Get to playing online poker. This is for those of you in the state of Texas. Got to be inside the great state of Texas to do it, to play. You can deposit and cash out at one of those 6 locations, and there are other ways to deposit as well. They make it easy for you. Jump on in, hijackpoker.com. Catch, as you mentioned, you haven't really discussed Emmett Mosley on a show, and therefore you and I haven't really discussed Emmett Mosley. After hearing your initial comments, let me ask you this. How do you think Emmett Mosley and DeAndre Moore fit together on a football team, considering both of them have spent a decent amount of time in the slot?
Well, I think that Mosley, more so than DeAndre Moore, I think can play inside out.
Okay.
We saw last year that when Isaiah Bond came over from Alabama, that he had spent the majority of his rep load inside at Alabama. And then we saw very little of that during the season. So I think you get a little bit of versatility in his positioning. I think if you go back and look at what he did last year, they moved him all over the field. He definitely plays on the outside, definitely played on the inside, though. I think he's a guy that looked pretty comfortable in both of those roles. So I think that you give yourself some DeAndre Moore insurance, and I think you give I think he is the fact that you know he's not a 1-year rental, I think tells you how much they like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not taking if this guy were a grad senior, that would really feel like, well, they're rolling the dice a little bit. This is a little bit of a low risk take because he's gone in 6 months and we'll have that scholarship number back. And but this is a guy that's got multiple years of eligibility left. I mentioned this on Monday. To take him, I mean, he's a true sophomore. So you start thinking about other second-year guys. Okay, well, Ryan Wingo, second-year guy, probably not feeling like this is much of a threat to him. But a guy like Aaron Butler doesn't have yet a role at wide receiver, trying to figure out where on the pecking order he belongs. And in from the portal comes a guy who is more proven. I think the expectations for him immediately will be higher than what they are of Butler. And if you're Butler, you have to wonder, did I just get roadblocked? And it doesn't necessarily even mean for the long term. These guys sometimes don't think that far down the road. Sometimes it may just be, I want to be on the field now. I don't know that any of us think for certain that that's who he is, but a move like this might make him feel like, now I definitely know that I'm not, especially if the idea is they may still go into the portal and get another guy, which I think is absolutely on the table. You know, and if they're sitting at 9 right now, scholarships, but they were to lose somebody at the position into the portal, now they're back at 8. Now you start to ask yourself, well, now they're just where they were when Sark said their numbers weren't good enough. So now is it about a 9th guy or a 10th guy? And do they take 3 guys from the portal? So some of this is very fluid, but you know, I think that I'm always examining the cause and effect. Now, you think about the receiver position, Chad, I don't think there's very many guys that have to make decisions. They only have 8 guys on scholarship. 4 of them are, well, not including Mosley. 8 before Mosley, 4 of them are true freshmen. So they're good. They're not going anywhere. The other guys would be DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo, Parker Livingstone,
Butler,
and then Aaron Butler. So if the entire wide receiver core, Wingo's not going anywhere and DeAndre Moore is not going anywhere, and it feels like Parker Livingstone, of all of the receivers on campus,
made a move,
has solidified himself as a guy for this year. Then you've got the 4 freshmen who you would say, well, they're probably not unhappy after 3 months. But then you have Aaron Butler, who of all of those guys, he's not a true freshman. It doesn't quite feel like he's as locked in as the other 3 guys that I mentioned that aren't true freshmen. And the guy that's showing up fits his profile to a T in terms of outside receiver, second-year guy. But I think it will feel like this guy moves ahead of him on the totem pole because he's an out-of-state guy, a thing you always think about. Players that come in from out of state and recruiting oftentimes are just a little more prone to make quicker decisions about what to do with their portal decisions than in-state guys who, and it's not by much. Like, I don't even know how much we can completely quantify that in a way where it's like, oh, definitely the out-of-state guys. I'm just telling you, my sense of following this has always been, it is slightly more of an uptick that you see these types of things happen. So just something to keep an eye on.
Just a little less patient. Maybe.
Yeah, but then again, Aaron Butler could be completely content. You know, what I think the advice that I would almost give any guy who's going into their second season is you're probably not going to find a better place than Texas.
Yeah. Well, and
you're not moving up. You know, you're already in the penthouse, Chad. So see if you can make that work, because the Jonte Cook thing is a perfect example. The grass sometimes looks greener on the other side. And you and I could have sat here and gone, Jonte, chill your ass out. Do you know who's quarterbacking next year? All these other guys are going to be out of here. Just bite your lip and like chill out.
Yep, you read my mind. That's exactly what I was about to say. The contrast between what he just dropped off the table and what Emmett Mosley just picked up. Mosley has a chance to have, he's got 2 years left at least, and those 2 years he gets to be locked into Arch Manning. Yeah, it's incredible. By the way, Catch, for the record, in case Hunter means this for Texas, percentage chance that Texas cares about Micah Hudson.
I think it would be minimal.
Okay.
Only because I don't know that he fits. I think there's really a time. Look, I described Emmett Mosley as a little bit of, he's such a safe take now and you'll never look back. He's a good player who's never not going to be good. He's good. He's already proven that. He may turn out to actually be really good. And everybody kind of slept on him, played on a bad offense. You wouldn't really have even noticed him at all until late in the season. And then when it happened and you might have noticed him, why would you notice him? He was game week 12, Cal, like the last thing in the world that anybody was paying attention to. But that's as bad as it gets for Texas. Because I think they took Mosley, and it's a little, remember I told you, I was like, if they don't make a push for him, Chad, they must really think the portal's about to be loaded with talent. But as it stands right now, and it's the first few hours, it's day one, it's not loaded with talent yet. I would make the case that if he were still available in the talent, other than Nico, he's right there. So, I think this is definitely for me, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. This is a good bird to have in your hand. And now you're playing, I won't say with the house's money, because you really do have a need to find somebody who's a little more proven and productive than Micah Hudson has been. But I think there are other positions where if a Micah Hudson profile made themselves available, maybe you would think about it. If it was edge or linebacker or something like that, something that you would say, well, this isn't a 2025 move as much as this is maybe a 2026, 2027 move. They don't do that a lot, though, and it really doesn't go into the all-in mantra for 2025. But, I think you play every situation by ear and kind of as they happen, it happens. I don't know that a month ago, Chad, they would have thought to themselves, we know we want to go get a couple of wide receivers. You know who fits the profile of exactly what we need? Emmett Mosley, the fifth. I don't think they would have thought that. But he becomes available. I think you take a look at him and you go, okay, not the dream girl, because I think we have in our head that the dream girl at wide receiver for Texas runs a 4.3. And he's not that. So, he's not blowing the top off of anything. But does he immediately become the most proven and maybe the most proven, productive, sure thing in the entire wide receiving core that on day one, week one, going into Columbus, you can count on that guy catching 4 passes for 50 yards? Yeah, probably. So that's insanely valuable for who Texas wants to be. And if Texas gets so good at wide receiver that he becomes this year's Silas Bolden, which is, we talked about him all year long. Why wouldn't this guy get any more reps? And then towards the end of the year, he caught a few passes, but they were so good at receiver elsewhere that he just couldn't get on the field. Then what an amazing problem to have. If Texas is so good, Chad, at wide receiver that a guy that caught 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games as a true freshman a year ago can't get on the field this year, then, hey, man, Arch probably is in New York for the Heisman at that point.
That is fair. Also, let's clarify this because Hunter threw it out a couple times. Hunter says, also, does he fit into the can't go to SEC thing? Weird situation. He's talking about Micah Hudson, and Let's clarify. Didn't Hudson go to A&M only to return to Tech and now in the portal? Sure sounds like a solid guy. No, Tech's guy. He may have gone back to Lubbock. He didn't go back to Tech.
It's complicated.
In the database I'm looking at today, the logo is A&M, not Tech. So it is a clarifying thing to bring up. Micah Hudson, if I'm reading it correctly, he cannot go to an SEC school. So
he could just go back to Texas Tech and all of this could just be a format. I don't know. I don't
know.
Chad and I are pretty consistent on this. When we last talked about Micah Hudson, whenever the hell that was, I think the message is, man, here's hoping that kid finds a comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
Find some success, find some happiness. It doesn't seem to be easily obtainable at this point in his college career.
I feel the same way. It's the same thing with Cook. Cook and Hudson just feel the same to me in certain ways. And it's just like there's so much talent there, but they're both trying to either leave it on the sidewalk or strangle it to death. And if they could just calm down and get out of their own way, there's still a chance for both of them.
They're Tommy boys sitting at the restaurant with the roll in his hand, and he's like, I pet it and I squeeze it, and then he's like, and he just starts tearing it up, and that's what those guys are doing to themselves.
Yep.
So there's so many of these guys that we take a look at, and there can almost be a little bit of a running joke with them. I want them all to succeed. And when I just look at Micah Hudson, and you mentioned it, Jonte Cook as well, it just feels like anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're just a walking prescription of Prozac waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. The kid from Stanford is only at Texas through circumstances.
Yeah. He has a chance to take advantage in such a massive way of all the stuff, of all the Cook and everything, everybody that left. And he may get 2 years catching balls from Arch Manning now.
It's a very unnatural portal entry for him. He wasn't even in early. He wasn't trying. It's funny because Stanford's lost all their good players. They are all, by the way, Chad, this has cracked me up. West Virginia, have you heard this?
I've heard a couple guys have entered the portal from Morgantown.
Have you heard how many?
I heard the number was around 20.
30.
Oh, God.
30, Chad. 30.
30, but not Jaheim White yet?
Yes.
No, what? Hold up.
Have 30 dudes from West Virginia entered the portal, and not one of them is the guy from West Virginia that we've been waiting to see him enter the portal.
Come on, Jaheim. No one would notice you leave if 20 other people are leaving. You could just blend right into the crowd.
Like, anybody see Jaheim? It was like, I don't know. He was here around the 15th, and then that whole blip thing happened, and guys weren't here anymore.
Jaheim, wait for the first 10 cars to leave the parking lot. You just feed right into that caravan. No one will ever notice.
Procession. Just get in there.
Just go.
No one will even notice.
I had not heard that it got up to 30. That is bad news for Rich Rod. Oh, my God. 30 dudes in the portal. Jeez. Remember, if you want to throw in a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the list. We thank you for your support. All the way back to Derek on the road for 8 hours, still locked in for this live. No music needed. Thank you, Derek. We appreciate you. Also, Rob wants to remind everybody, we are almost to 25,000 subscribers. Please subscribe if you have not to the YouTube channel. We would love for you to do that. Also, catch real quick off the portal, but only for a second. Football Junkie wants to know any good nuggets from the presser today. There was an availability with players, I believe, at 11 o'clock today.
I saw one note today.
Okay.
Because it was players. Colin Simmons was asked earlier today why he switched from number 11 to number 1.
Ah, yes.
Did you see this?
I did not. I got a feeling I'm about to enjoy this answer.
And Colin Simmons said, quote, because I'm the one, end quote.
There are not many people who get to answer that question that way, but I'll allow it. Well done, Colin. Well done.
So, yeah, that's your big note from today's presser.
Because I'm the one. That's fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. Ketch, before we do anything else, why don't you tell the good folks about Rogue Shop and what they can do for them?
Well, we talk about these wide receivers that create all this anxiety. They got something for that at Rogue Shop. They'll help your anxiety. They'll help your sleeplessness. They'll help your pain. They'll help so many different things that you just might be dealing with. Go scan that QR code. Go to the website, rogueshop.com. They are Texas's home for legal CBD, THC, and so much more. They are owned by a couple of Longhorns through and through. I mean, boy, Richard bleeds orange. He's always thinking of ways that Texas and the football program can be better and how the NIL can be stronger. He's a brainstormer, but he cares. And that's why you want to spend your money with somebody who's like-minded, just like yourself. Again, scan the QR code, go shopping, go to the website, just check it out. See what might be best for you, and then take it one step at a time. And then, who knows, you may just be a loyal customer just like that. Rogue Shop, Chad.
All right, Kat. So day one here of the portal, and we were, talking about the Longhorn situation. And as I'm looking at portal stuff today, the discussion has been, what's the quality going to be? One of the very first chats we got today was from Tex Blonde, and she said, hey, seeing youth in the portal. Want to see some experience. Where's the experience in the portal? So far, you got Nico. We know that situation kind of is up front, but give me your reaction to the level of talent so far we're seeing in the portal. Because so far, I'm not totally blown away, and it feels like, other than Nico, it feels like a spring portal, kind of like we've seen before. What are your thoughts in the early going?
That's really early.
Okay.
I don't have much of a reaction yet. Like, what exists right now is nothing. This is nothing to write home about.
Yeah, no monsters yet. Nothing just like earth-shattering that would be on that Nico kind of level.
Yeah, I mean, Nico is going to, and it will really, I think, show maybe it'll give us a real strong glimpse of how important colleges think spring football is from a planning for the season standpoint, because everybody seems to agree that from a talent standpoint, he's one of the most talented guys that have entered the portal in this cycle. How many schools, though, at this exact moment have an unanswered quarterback question that an incoming transfer wouldn't disrupt whatever the hell it is you've got cooking at that position? It's a little tougher to say. So I'm curious to see what happens. But yeah, I nobody really on that level, although it's, and one of the reasons why I like the tight end that we talked about from Cal, premium position, good player. He checks productive, plays in a major conference. He's gone to Cal, so he's no idiot. Last time I checked, that's still a pretty good school, even if it's not quite Stanford. Cal wants to be, but they're not.
Damn, look at you jumping into a rivalry discussion. A whole nother West Coast rivalry discussion.
Just saying, when you say Berkeley, it's not Stanford.
A little different. It's a little different. I wanted to also ask you about a couple of the running backs we haven't had a chance to talk about this week. Jaden Ott of Cal went into the portal, and pretty quickly Oklahoma was a name that came up, and now he's ended up at Oklahoma. What kind of get do you think that is for the Sooners?
I don't know. Strange profile. He is almost one of these Jalen Catalon type guys.
Oh, that's an interesting comp. Yeah.
Not obviously it's not the same position, but it's,
and hopefully it's not that level of injury concern.
No, but Catalan came back this year at UNLV and was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even puts himself into a position where he ends up on an NFL roster going into training camp somewhere. It's hard to know what to do with a running back who 2 years ago had a really good year, and then last year didn't have a good year at all. None of the numbers, the underlying numbers, scream top guy. So it's like, well, who are you getting? Are you getting the guy that a year ago is kind of or are you getting the guy that 2 years ago, when he wasn't dealing with any injuries at all, was really good? I think if you're Oklahoma, why not? Why not take a flyer on a guy that if you know, and if you think about the Jalen Catalan thing, what happens? Well, he leaves Arkansas, he goes to Texas. It didn't quite work out. Then he moves on to UNLV, and the second stop, it works out. You know, you could make a case that this is a guy that you're just catching at the right time, that from a timing standpoint, even though he was still at Cal a year ago wasn't the year to have him. Maybe this is the year to have him, and we'll see. I like the pickup. I think that, you know, the thing I've been thinking about all day, Chad, was, is this Jim Nagy, or
right?
Is this not, because this is just a guy from Cal? Because I saw a little bit of, oh, well, this is the kind of guy that Nagy would have had on a Senior Bowl invite kind of list. Someone who was good a couple of years ago, but he just felt like one of the best players that instantly entered the portal from my perspective. So this didn't feel like they were going fishing in a puddle somewhere that nobody had ever discovered. They went and got the most proven running back that the moment he hit the portal was available in the portal. But I have a feeling that that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a little bit like Gary Patterson a couple of years ago, that if anything good happens on the defense for Texas, he'll get credit for it. And if it's anything bad happens, it'll be Pete Kwiatkowski's fault. And in the end, it didn't quite go that way, but it kind of did. And I wonder if it'll be that way this year, where if and when they do hit something on a portal guy, now that he's arrived, it's all hit. And if they don't, it's like, well, he was only here for 15 minutes. So how much? I kind of feel like he's in I can only be given credit this year and no blame, which is a great place to be.
I was going to say, that's in this version of college football, that is a good.
There's not a married guy anywhere that knows what that feels like.
That sounds like a great idea. Also, quick shout out to Money B for this chat. West Virginia will give all the NIL from those 30 portal players to White.
Maybe.
Jaheim hopes so. And then Texas fans are hoping Jaheim wants to go with him.
Chad, it's a change in coaching. And what have we seen? Whether it's Alabama or Colorado, you know, when programs that we've really noticed that have made head coaching changes and kind of track the portal numbers have been outrageous, but we really see it when there's turnover. So,
well, the interesting part about West Virginia is that was done in the winter period. When you're saying 30 guys into the portal, is that total, like winter and spring, or just the spring?
The number I saw indicated it was from the spring, that it all happened within like a 30-minute window.
Like that would indicate that he comes in.
Look, I'll Google the story. Hold on. Just keep talking.
That the changing of the guard would have happened, and then they all get into, I'm assuming, you know, when they get into spring practice or whatever, and then the portal opens and 30 of them walk out the door.
Just give me a second, because you know, it's one of those where when you read it, I saw the headline and then I did click on it, and I was like, sometimes you just read things and you go with it.
Okay.
So this is on Athlon Sports. Okay. It says that they lost a total of 25 people in the portal in a span of 30 minutes.
Wow.
That I guess the portal window opened and it was like, that's my sound of 25 guys entering the portal.
That's good. that just shows you Rich Rod needs to work on that first spring practice speech. Apparently something's wrong with that one. Need to rework that in 2025. Holy moly.
25
and
entered
30
the portal
minutes
on Wednesday. That's today.
Okay.
That just happened.
Keep an eye on that. If you followed West Virginia football last year, all kinds of opportunities out there for teams. We're talking portal, obviously. If you guys want to jump in the chat, feel free. Headed up towards 500 of you.
Hold on, Chad. Just so you know. Now, I just hopped over. So I'm on the 24/7 counter. Forgive me, rivals. It's where I clicked on a button. It's where it took me. But it shows me that West Virginia has 31 incoming transfers in this current cycle. And it shows that their outgoing is 49.
Oh, God.
So that when you asked the question earlier, is that 25, 30? Is that?
So altogether,
they're at 49. And that number, that's what I was talking about, where we've looked at Alabama or Colorado, and when we've seen programs in the future, when you have a head coaching, we saw with A&M to a certain extent, although some of their high volume a year ago was somewhat mitigated by all of the turnover from the year before. In a weird way, it lessened some of the damage of that one cycle because it got spread out over two before Jimbo left. But these numbers aren't crazy. This is what happens. There's a massive outgoing. There's a massive incoming. And, you know, did Dion pull it off in year one when he did it? Not really. Were they better in year two? You would have to say yes. This is an evolving skill that college coaches are going to have to learn to either be good at or not good at, because I don't know that Rich Rod's ever worked with a roster where, you know, he comes in and everybody is new to him. So maybe it's not as big of a deal when your staff doesn't have the familiarity with the roster. That it's like, well, who cares where they're new from? 49 new guys, they're going to be new no matter what. I don't know. It's a lot. And I can't imagine that West Virginia's done either. That was just today. It's the 16th. It's 12:37 Central. That's just today at 12:37 Central, Chad. That is, who knows what's happened in the last 30 minutes? I haven't looked.
Yeah, and also that 49 number is important, Catch, because that's also the number of times Rich Rodriguez has checked in with Jaheim White today. That's how many texts, that's how many DMs, that's how many combined, hey man, how you doing? How's your Wednesday?
If I told you 2 weeks ago that they were going to have a couple of dozen guys in the first 30 minutes of the portal enter their names into the portal, we all would have been like, okay, yep. Well, we know who's on that list.
The Jaheim White, tell me the rest. It's so wild that it's been that many, and so far he's not one of those. That is just crazy. If you guys want to jump in the chat, go right ahead. Also, let me remind you, if you watch The Outsiders tonight at 8:30, I'm going to be sipping some of this stuff. Not these exact cocktails. That'd be gross. But I'm going to be checking out some of that pineapple Deep Eddy vodka. It's out there. It's the 9th flavor. Get on out to the Deep Eddy vodka tasting room. Get yourself a tasting going. They're there Thursdays through Sundays. Take advantage of this great spring weather. Go pair it up with some of that great barbecue they've got at the Crimson Creek Smokehouse, the great barbecue truck that's right there on site. Go have a good time. Take your friends. Take some family out there. Make sure you do it responsibly. Go enjoy some beautiful hill country views and some Deep Eddy vodka. Not a bad way to spend a day. And we're glad you're spending today with us here on House Divided. All right, Catch, anything else? You mentioned the tight end from Cal. Anybody else out there that's got your interest? Any other positions that you're kind of focusing in on as the portal cranks up?
I mean, here, we'll go through what I think would make for... Oh, here, let's go position by position real quick, because I think this will give everybody a real snapshot of what's out there and what's not.
All right.
We know the Longhorns aren't looking for a quarterback. You've got Nico, who we're waiting to see, and then this Gio Lopez kid from South Alabama just entered the portal, and the thought is is that he's going to end up at North Carolina, which would explain North Carolina not being in for Nico. Running back position, Jaden Ott, I think, would be the number one guy if he were still in the portal. He commits to Oklahoma. Josh McCray out of Illinois is a second-year guy. He was the bowl MVP back in December. He's okay. Siobhan Wright out of Charleston is a guy that had big numbers at a much lower level. At wide receiver, there's a kid named Cameron Cooper out of Boise State who entered the portal in January. It was like 900 yards a year ago. And averaged almost 17 yards a catch.
Okay.
So I know he's going to have interest. He's from the Texas area. I'm not saying anything about Texas in him other than to say I wasn't even aware that he was in the portal. And then I was looking guys up who were in the portal, and I was like, this guy's pretty good. And you know where I think he's from, Chad? If I were to hold on, let me double check this. I don't want to say this. And then be wrong. So let me double check.
Okay.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he's from a very specific place that is dear.
Oh, no.
Maybe not.
No.
Well, it says here that he was at Indiana. He signed from Trinity Valley. But I think he's a Lancaster boy.
I knew it. I knew that's where we were headed.
I think that's right. I think that's where he's from.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because I'm not sure where that school would be. I do know where Lancaster is, and if he's a Lancaster Tiger, then it would be cool if he found his way to maybe a Texas school.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think he's formally a Lancaster guy. Tight ends, I mentioned Jack injuries. He's the guy that I think Texas might be hot to trot for. I would say definitely keep an eye on him. Davon Mitchell was there was some thought that he would have been the number one tight end in the country in this recruiting class, but he went early. He reclassified and went a year early. He goes to Oklahoma. It sounds like it was a total train wreck, Chad. To hear the reporting on the OU side on Mitchell is lazy and couldn't show up on time and missed workouts and it sounds like dysfunction junction. So I can't say he's a guy that you should absolutely. What I would tell you is this, man, there aren't many dudes as talented as that go into the portal. He might be the Ajay Hall of tight ends, but those guys don't come around all the time. And I don't think Texas is going to go in for Mitchell.
And where's he coming from again?
He was at Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
But he's from the state of California. And somebody's going to take a flyer on him because he's that talented. But it sounds like his early portion of Oklahoma, his career at Oklahoma was a disaster. Nobody really on the offensive line other than a bunch of small school guys. There's a kid named Joe Cotton out of South Dakota and a Bryce George out of Ferris State. Those aren't Texas level guys. Defensive tackles, Demarion Thomas out of Vanderbilt started for them a year ago. Kind of feels like the type of guy that Texas would already have. I think he's a grad senior, if I'm not mistaken. Alexander Whitmore out of UNLV, plus the Thomas kids from Vanderbilt, so he couldn't go to the SEC anyway. I don't really think there's anything in the portal at D tackle yet. There's a kid named Bo Atkinson from UNC that 6'4", 240, entered the portal today, led North Carolina with 12 and a half tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. Anyway, one of the better returning edge guys in the ACC. Again, I don't know that a guy that Texas is going to be involved in the most, but he will garner a lot of interest. I don't really think there's anything at corner or safety that's worth mentioning. So it's a barren market right now. If you ask me, what do I think about what we're looking at right now? Oh my God, it better get better than this.
Yeah, so far this is we tried to do the comparison contrast. Like last year, the spring portal, the Dominic Williams is a name we always brought up. So far, outside of Nico, feels about like last spring did.
Less than that, because this really is day one. I mean, this is
it's early, right?
And the thing everybody's got to keep in mind is, depending on when guys want to put their names into the portal, if you've done it in the last 48 hours, it doesn't go public until the 48 hours expires. So, I think we're going to see a lot more names enter. This right now looks like Dollar Tree at the end of this shift. Have you ever gone into a Dollar Tree at 7:50 p.m. and they haven't restocked yet?
Boxes everywhere.
And you're like, I'm just going to go over there and look in the candy aisle. Oh, no, I'm not, because there ain't candy in here anymore.
Nope.
There's some jujubes, but that's about it.
Does that Fun Dip say 1974? Good God.
Yeah. No, that Fun Dip got sold out by then. So it's a little bit like that. And this is as if you've gone into the Dollar Tree at 7:50 and one person has started the process of like restocking. There's like a section where there's a couple of things, kind of the Stanford section, where it doesn't really even make any sense that these Stanford guys are just in the portal when they want to because of the situation with their coach.
Plus, the other thing to remember, Catch, think about the timeline. The last time we checked in on where the spring games are and who's having them, I think the sense we got is some teams reset themselves to the 19th. There were some that were thinking about the 26th, but I think some have adjusted to the 19th. So we're going to go through this holiday weekend, Easter weekend, but for some, it's also like culmination of spring practice weekend. And the portal doesn't close up until the 25th, 26th, whatever that official day is. So who knows? Maybe once we get past the weekend, is there an extra influx of a higher talent level guy saying, you know what? My situation's not what I thought it was. I want to find a new situation.
I think we're going to see smatterings throughout the window that, there will be some schools that, because of the timing of this, the only thing that matters is entering. But most of these guys, when one of the tricky things about the December portal is they have to make a decision so fast because they're trying to get enrolled by January.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is shotgun marriage type stuff.
Right. But you can be patient now.
Well, in the spring,
right?
What the hell are you going to, what is happening in the next month?
Yeah. That's why I've said, why doesn't the portal open May 15th instead of now? Why won't they just?
I don't know, Chad. I don't know.
To me, that would be, wait till after everybody's done with spring practice and all that stuff. Let it clear out, then open a portal.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah.
I don't, why is it not from March 16th through May 15th? Why is it two? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
At the end of the day, though, all that you have to do is put your name in by that date.
Right.
Take as much damn time as you want to.
Yeah, you can get out on May 29th if you want, as long as you're in this next 10 days.
And some of these guys, so these guys will have time to, Texas were to bring in a guy this weekend. He's missed the spring. He missed the spring. The teams, as soon as the spring is over, they're going into finals. So they'll focus on finals. There won't be an off season really at that point. They will literally let these guys focus on finals. And then there's a little bit of a break. Guys get done with finals. They're still working out, but it's not. This is that lull that every college goes through. And then really everything picks back up starting second half of May. Guys are moving back into town. Guys are getting ready for the start of summer school and workouts, and all of that stuff happens. But right now, if you enter the portal, you've got a month to take your time and sort through your options if you don't feel like you're getting squeezed a little bit. And I don't know I don't know what they would have told an Emmett Mosley, but Emmett Mosley could have just as easily have said, I'm going to wait and kind of see how things unfold a little bit. We'll look what my options look like. And Texas could have said, cool, we're going to go take somebody else in and fill that slot. And that's the risk that you take. But some of these guys, especially depending on the positions, will have more leverage. Like, I think the kid that I mentioned from North Carolina, the edge guy, a guy like that, everybody needs edge players. That's the one thing Bobby Bowden taught us in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
You can't have enough badass defensive ends just coming in at all times. Guys that can get to the quarterback, guys that can make plays. This was a guy that's one of the best in the ACC at doing that in terms of returning, coming back. So I think a guy like that could say, you know what? I'm in the portal. I'm not even doing anything until I finish my finals. I need to finish finals. You got something? Anything wrong with that, coach? Can I finish history? Can I do that? And then when it's over with, he may at that point take 4 visits in 2.5 weeks or something like that. But these guys have more options, and consequently, I think these schools can be a little more patient. It is maybe the most surprising thing about the Emmett Mosley thing was that it happened so fast. And so it must have been a slam dunk from the school standpoint of, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But and it also had the 30-day window from the coaching change to help it out on the front side.
Correct.
Yeah, you had those two ran together. And so they had a little extra time with him too.
But that one, he took a trip to Virginia and then to Texas, and then it didn't really play out beyond that. And so I'm curious. I'd love to, one of these days we'll get to talk to some of these guys, like during when the season starts. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at some point, maybe we can hear his story about how it all kind of unfolded. And who knows, maybe, hell, I'm sure we got a cell phone number somewhere. Maybe now that it's all happened, we can get him before he enrolls in the school and see if we can get an update on how it all actually played out. But because quite a fortuitous situation for Texas that happened, because it probably doesn't look and feel the same way if it doesn't. If there's no coaching changeover in the spring, he might just be sticking around. And like I said, if you're Texas,
right,
that's why I'm a big proponent of tamper.
Yeah, because it was a freshman year catch. Freshman year, 48 catches, 6 touchdowns, had a really good start. In a normal world, you don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't go anywhere. You just go back and continue to build on what you're done. My God, you're at Stanford. You ever walk that campus? Jeez. He's there. He's getting that education. Theoretically, he enjoys the situation, and then the coach changes and, it adjusts it. And then he's going to get to, again, now take advantage of a year or two of Arch Manning kind of out of nowhere. Good for him.
I'm guessing that wasn't a hard sales pitch for a guy from Stanford to understand.
Yeah, right. Didn't need to take a graduate level course to figure that one out. I get to catch from who? Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So why are you punking me? Because he shouldn't have any available slots for guys. All of the slots to catch passes from Manning should already be secure. So is this even Steve Sarkisian? Prank call, that kind of thing.
Because I watched the highlights of his catch where he was making catch after catch against Clemson. The score was like 40-7 Clemson. Yeah. Like they were smashing that's the guarantee you could give Mosley. Look, dude, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to lose. I'm not going to tell you Clemson may not beat you. It ain't going to be 40-7. It's just not. You got a much better chance to be on a real football team this year. And then
again, there will be a lot of focus. I've seen it on Orange Bloods about what he's not instead of what he is. Because I think what he is and what his skill set is as a player, I don't think that that's what Parker Livingstone is. And I don't think that that's certainly what Ryan Wingo is. And I don't even necessarily think of DeAndre Moore as 3rd and 6th guy. That's not quite who he's been yet. I think that there's a world out there where if we try to imagine who we want him to be next year, that maybe he becomes that guy, but that's not quite even who he's been. DeAndre Moore has been more occasionally spectacular guy and less like lunch pail, brings it every single week, you can count on guy. And I think that's who this guy is. And when you're an offense that doesn't have that guy at all, I don't think you can raise your nose and sniff at him in a way that, because you don't necessarily think, well, I don't know that he's going to be a 1st or 2nd day NFL draft guy. Because I don't know what this guy's going to run at the 40. It does not look like he's running 4.3 when you watch what he did a year ago at Stanford. But dude gets open. Those are scholarship guys he's getting open against.
Plus, transferring to Texas does make you faster at the combine. It's documented. It happens.
It keeps happening.
It keeps happening over and over and over again.
If that kid ends up running like a 4.3 at the combine, and like Matthew Golden will be over in the corner.
I told you. I told you. Oh, my God.
They put something in the water down there, but we run fast.
What is happening? By the way, everybody in the chat except Oscar, good to see you. Oscar, there's no need for this. I'm trying to give Stanford's campus a compliment, and you give me an ever walk through College Station. There's no need for that. There's no need. Just no need at all. Chris Bennett, I like your question in terms of the portal, and I'm going to bring it up. We're going to get that. We got buy or sell coming up as well. I'm going to let Ketch know what the top 5 discussion is tonight on The Outsiders. I think he's going to want to throw in an opinion. That's coming up in just a second.
I always love y'all's top 5s.
Oh, you're going to love tonight. Trust me. You are going to love tonight. I'll get to that, but let me get up to a little sinus and snoring specialist before that. Great weather right now. Every time I'm out in this weather, I've been working outside lately, taking care of some things, and you're out mowing the lawn and you got all this stuff. It's great weather, but if you got bad allergies, it'll mess you up. Your head clogs up. Maybe you get sinus infections and all that. Get rid of your allergies for good. Make this the year you finally do it. Sinus and snoring specialists can get rid of all your allergies for good. They can get rid of the snoring issues. If you know you've got sleep apnea, but you just haven't found the place that can really address it the right way, this is the place. 601-0303. Text them or call them securely on that number, or hit sinussnoringent.com. Find out what they can do for you. You're going to meet Dr. Slaughter in the first consultation. He prides himself on that. He also prides himself on meeting those appointment times. He knows your time is valuable. He's going to get there on time and be ready to roll. It's a great process. I never have doubted it a day in my life since I did it in 2017, and you won't either. Tell them we said, hey, here at Orange Bloods Live. Sinus and snoring specialists feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, Catch. Since I am hanging on to the presidency of the fan club, Chris Bennett did throw this out earlier. Let's see if we can answer it. Who picks up Jonte, who officially enters the portal today? Catch, as I'm reading it, I realize this is the opposite of Micah Hudson. Jonte goes from Texas technically to Washington, correct?
Yes.
And now he's into the portal from Washington. Jonte Cook can go to the SEC if somebody's interested. I've got 3 locations far away from DeSoto to help Jonte Cook: Auburn, Missouri, Ole Miss. Those are my 3 ideas for Jonte Cook. Places that have given guys second opportunities before. Long way away from home. Clear your brain. Get to these programs, at least 2 of them. Well, really all 3. A coach that can put you in an offense where they're going to chunk the ball a little bit. Those are my 3 ideas for Jonte. Do you think a power program is going to take a chance here, or is he going to have to go low level?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't either. After a power program doesn't work, and it didn't work like that. Remember how long that was? It was like a week.
Well, it felt like part of what led him to Washington was that the NIL component mattered a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
true.
I don't know that, just based on what I saw watching from afar. I mean, I wasn't knee deep, and maybe I have my perception of this is wrong, but it felt like, Washington is where he found the best arrangement. And I don't know if that was the best situation. So I don't know what's going to steer the car here for him. I think all those schools sound like places that could make sense for him. There's a little bit of halfway house, friendly to vagabond type vibes that I think if you're going to go somewhere at this point, that might be as good as it gets.
Yeah. And by the way, Tex Blonde is right. He could have gone into the SEC before because he was in the winter portal. Correct, Tex Blonde. But had he ended up at an SEC school, he couldn't go SEC now because the way it happened. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it till Chris Bennett threw that chat at us. But he and Micah Hudson are in the opposite situation when it comes to one of them can't go to an SEC school and the other one weirdly can after their move. So I'm hoping, like we said earlier, Catch, he and Hudson both get an opportunity, and all these guys that maybe the portal can be kind of a cleansing thing for them. But boy, they do need to get out of their own way at some point.
It's interesting. I think if we just real quick, if we think about Emmett Mosley, I think I start looking at the wide receivers that did transfer through the portal. And
you're saying to Texas?
No, in general, national.
Okay.
Because I think this guy's probably going to slip a little under the radar. Didn't come in with a big recruiting profile. When we look at some of the recruiting rankings and some of the names I'll mention, there will be names of players that it's like, oh, Micah Hudson's a perfect example. He hasn't done anything in college. Micah Hudson is not a better college football player right now than Emmett Mosley. Not even close. In fact, if Micah Hudson had the season that Emmett Mosley had just had, Micah Hudson probably would have been getting $2 million from any program in the country. If you were able to package the production, I think that Mosley put together with the profile think about a guy like Deuce Robinson from USC. He was just okay at USC. His numbers were not that good, but he was viewed as a top 10 national prospect. And it's funny because I ended up looking when Deuce Robinson went into the portal. Now, Texas was in on Deuce as kind of a tight end prospect all the way until the end, and they didn't get him. And he ends up being a big wide receiver at USC, and the thought was always maybe he's an H-back, something like that. But this is a guy that only caught 23 passes last year for 396 yards, 5 touchdowns. In his career, in 2 years, he's got like a little less than 750 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, Chad, he's okay. He's good.
Mm-hmm.
But that got him top 10 in the country, regardless of positions in the portal. And it's like, well, no, what he has is this big recruiting profile coupled with he almost didn't need production. A little bit like Micah Hudson. It's like, oh, he doesn't even need to have been good in college. What Mosley is the opposite of that. He's got the production that, again, if either of those guys had that, we would be like, holy crap, this guy's something else. Instead, he did it, and he's got a measly little low 4-star profile, and nobody is looking at him like he's the sexiest thing of all time.
Catch, we got an interesting super chat here from ATX Bates, and I had not thought of this second part. $4.99. 1, if Shedeur has his number retired, then Ewers deserves DKR to be named after him. 2, will public schools be required to disclose player payment amounts? That's a question I have not heard brought up.
Number 2, there are some states that are already putting into legislation laws that block that from being able to happen.
Really?
So it's state by state.
Because we know that at state schools, like the head football coach's contract is public record because it's a state school. But would that exist for the players? I hadn't
it's
considered
state by state at this point, Chad.
Dude,
I've literally read in the last month that certain states and other, I don't think Texas though is in the blocking of this yet, but I think maybe even Ted Cruz or somebody would have put into legislation the idea of something that would block public schools from having their NIL player arrangements be able to be disclosed publicly.
So you're telling
number one, go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say, to clarify, you're telling me we could live in a world where Texas A&M, and Tech are required to let everybody know. That would be public information, the NIL they're paying to their players, but TCU and Baylor could pay every football player $8 million and we'd never know.
No, because there would be legislation. Somebody's going to, from an accounting standpoint, someone will make sure that TCU doesn't do that from inside the school. But I don't even know how that change. It will. I'm not quite sure. I'll lean on this again. Every state is different.
Yeah, that'll be wild to see. That's a good question, Bates. I had not thought of that angle. I'm sorry, Catch. I interrupted you. The first part on Shedeur.
I mean, I don't think those things are apples to apples, ATX Bates. First of all, I don't think Shedeur Sanders should have his jersey retired. But Colorado was pretty wretched. And you can make a case that he and the Travis Hunter pairing, along with Dion arriving, has completely changed who that program is and is kind of how they're thought of. And he might be a top 10 NFL draft pick, which since Cordell Stewart, I guess they wouldn't have done that. And Cordell didn't even go that high. So I don't know. Like it's not the same thing. It's just not.
Yeah, I'm just the thing for me. Thank you, ATX Bates, as always, for your super chat. The thing to me, Catch, is just timetable. Like, if Peyton Manning got his number retired at Tennessee, which I believe he did it happen that fast? Like at the spring game before he even got drafted? It just feels so quick.
They're doing whatever they can to keep Prime happy.
Yeah.
And whatever that, if they have to accelerate some things, then they look a little foolish doing it. Does it look foolish to Dion, or does he appreciate it? Oh, he appreciates it?
He appreciates it, right.
Colorado doesn't really give a damn what you and I think, Chad.
They should go ahead and retire 21 on his behalf, just for the sake of it.
There are worse ideas out there.
Right. Nobody can wear 21 either, because I'm just that good. Okay.
Just retire the number that every Sanders kid wears, whether they went to college or not.
Oh my God, that is so bizarre. All right, thank you guys for jumping in the chat. We got buy or sell coming up here in just a minute. Real quick, let's celebrate with Specs. They got an anniversary going right now.
Have you heard the news? Specs is turning 63, and we're celebrating you. Whether you're looking for whiskey, canned cocktails, or wine, Specs has it all with Texas-sized savings all month long. Specs. Cheers to save.
Get stocked up at Specs. All right, Catch. Anything else portal-wise or anything else that we need to hit before we buy or sell?
No, let's buy or sell.
All right, what do you first or second?
I'll go first today.
All right.
Buy or sell number one, Emmett Mosley the fifth will catch at least 40 passes for the Longhorns this season.
Interesting. 48 last year for him. DeAndre Moore was at 39, and you're saying he will catch at least 40. Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll say it's at least 40.
Yeah, I'm in the kind of 40
maybe
to 45-ish range. Yeah.
45, 50. Yeah, 45 to 50, maybe somewhere in there.
Yep. Buy or sell number two. You're fairly confident that Quinn Ewers will get drafted before the end of the third round.
Oh, God, I wish this was a buy. It's a sell. I went through a mock yesterday, and it was a 3-round mock, and there was no Quinn Ewers to be found. I can't even get – and you put the word fairly in there. You tried to help me out. You didn't just do like a capital C confident.
Yeah.
You went fairly confident. Right now, I'm going to sell, Catch. I saw so many names that made no sense, including Will freaking Howard before Quinn Ewers. So I don't know. I'm going to sell it. I am not fairly confident that he's gone by the end of the third round.
I saw that Dane Brugler for The Athletic did a 7-round mock that came out today.
Okay.
And he had Quinn going number 92 overall in the third round.
92 puts you late third round, right?
And it's what made me, I was like, oh boy, that's close.
It's too close. It's going to be more like fourth or fifth. I hate to say it, but I think it feels like it's going to be more of the.
It feels like we're either going to go, oh, told you there was no way he gets out of the third round, or we're going to go, oh man,
I know one thing.
He might not make it till the fourth round. He should have stayed for another year.
Here's one thing I would tell you, Catch, to Quinn Ewers and every friend, family member he's got around him, say no to every camera and go on whatever fishing trip you already had planned. Get as far away from the process of that day as you can.
And don't let a girl sit next to you, because that always comes back to haunt every guy.
Yeah, and don't have multiple phones.
But if you're going to have one over the other, maybe more multiple phones and multiple girls.
That was a good moment. That was a quality moment.
Snag that phone out of her hand. Buy and sell number 3. The Cowboys will take an offensive skill position player at number 12 next week.
Yeah, I'll buy. I'll say it's either a running back or a receiver. Despite the fact that this week they're going to do the official goodbye to Tyron Smith, I don't think there's an offensive lineman that's going to absolutely draw that much attention to them at 12. So I think they'll go skill. Yes, I'll buy it. I do.
I was going to tell a really bad Tyron Smith joke, but you know what?
You have a really bad Tyron Smith joke?
Well, it's going to involve a false start or something.
Yeah. They're going to false start the press conference. Is that what you're going to tell me?
He just falls into that category of Cowboy players that I don't respect.
Oh God. Poor.
Because he's in the era that I don't respect.
Cowboys with so much talent, but then you kind of go, I don't know. Yeah.
Jason Witten falls into that category for me.
Oh, hell yeah. Jason Witten's the king of that group. Jason Witten leads that parade.
But it's like, well, I know he had a bunch of stats.
He's a badass.
He ran down the field without a helmet once, but
what
did it mean? Nothing.
He was never on a badass football team.
God,
that's the difference. That's the difference.
Then at one time he was on a badass football team. His quarterback went to Cabo.
Yeah. Yeah. Point gun directly at foot. Well done, 82.
By the way, why is Romo the only one that caught heat for that?
I have no clue. No clue. Be a leader. Be a damn leader. Somebody say no. Somebody's got when there's a group of like 8 people and they do something stupid around prom and they wreck the car. You don't blame one. There's 8 people involved. In this case, there were 6? There's a lot of not one of those women connected to him, not the quarterback, not the tight end, and there was at least one other player. Come on. Nobody said no to that. Okay.
Where was Miles Austin when he was needed?
That ain't Nine's fault. That ain't just Nine's fault.
Buy or sell number 4. NBA MVP debate. You've got SGA over Jokic.
I do. I'm going to buy that. Love watching them both play, but there's just something about what SGA has meant to that team. The fact that he's got them to the 1 seed, I gotta lean heavy on the V part. They're both super V valuable. I'll say he's a little more valuable this year. I'll go with SGA. What about you?
I get it.
I mean, I can make the argument. I can flip the coin, really, but I'd go SGA.
It feels like, again, the best player is Jokic, and it feels like there's a guy on a better team having a historically good season that there's a more romantic narrative, I think. And I'm okay with that, actually. Like,
well, the beauty of calling it most valuable player is you can interpret And one of the ways I like to do that is, look, man, if you're so good that you've got a team as the 1 seed going to the playoffs that we weren't even thinking about. I mean, you were thinking about them at the beginning of the year, but I don't know if anybody thought they were the 1 seed.
It feels
sure.
It's very much like a Charles Barkley MVP season for me, where
that's
Michael
a good
Jordan
comp.
is the best player, and we all know that.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to say it. Yeah.
But the Suns kind of come out of nowhere and are the 1 seed.
And he's the reason.
And he's the reason why they're the 1 seed. And in this case, even maybe more so than that Suns Barkley team, like they're a historically good 1 seed. They're dominant. They won 68 games. It's pretty mind-boggling. So I get it, but I feel so guilty and dirty saying it. And finally, speaking of things I feel guilty and dirty about saying, apologies to the ladies out there in Dallas for this next remark. No, I'm not channeling my inner Charles Barkley. It's something a little different. Buyer sell number 5. The Dallas Wings drafted UConn's Paige Buchers the other night, and you feel sorry for her that she's going to a WNBA team that no one seems to care about.
Sell, how dare you? As a Dallas area kid, I'm going to tell you that Paige Buchers is going to revitalize the whole thing about the WNBA in Dallas. Ogunbowale's already there. How dare you say there's no attention for the Dallas Wings? Those two together, putting together a team, that team's about to hit the map because that other team in Dallas doesn't seem to want to do it. The other team in the building is just
I will say they have young talent. I will say that. You convinced me of that.
They got young talent, and we know on the women's side, Catch, you don't need quite as many ingredients sometimes to become relevant. Paige plus Ogunbowale, I'm in for that. So I think there's relevance coming. So I do not feel sorry for her. That's a sell. She's going to love Dallas, and I think Dallas is going to love her.
Okay. I hope you're right.
Come on, Paige.
I just know I've even forgotten her name. Who was the Texas women's basketball player that went number 1 overall to the Wings and was off the team in a year?
Oh, yeah. See, I can't remember her name either. So there you go. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it was not that long ago. And now I just cannot remember the
only 5 years ago. And I feel awful. Go ahead, ask me your questions.
I know. You go ahead and look that up while I'm asking questions. How about that? Let's start with
I want to call her Candace Carlton, and I know I just made that name up.
Yeah, no, that's not it. I know that's not it. Catch, let's start with the portal reaction. Buy or sell number 1. Mosley will have a Matthew Golden feel about him as the season goes on.
Sell.
Okay.
So Mosley has always felt spectacular. It's what made him, even in that early Michigan game where it was like, whoa.
Golden, you mean?
I mean, what did I say?
You said Mosley.
Yes. Golden had just that air of spectacularness that I think will be different. So I will sell. I will say that I don't know that Mosley fits the profile of a transfer they've had at that position quite yet. So it might be that maybe he's the first of whatever it ends up being that he becomes.
Gotcha. All right, Catch, let's go to the NBA. Buy or sell number 2. You can tell me the 2 teams that earned 7 seeds in the NBA last night.
Buy. I know Golden State was one of the teams.
Golden State did. They're going to take on the Rockets. Very good. Who's the East? Who's the number 7 seed now in the East? And they're taking on Boston, I believe. Come on, you can do it.
It's the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, you're so close. It's the team that beat the Atlanta Hawks. It's the Orlando Magic.
I got it wrong. I knew who played in the game. I didn't pay attention to who won the game.
All right, Catch. Well, let's see where this one goes. Buy or sell number 3. You can name either of the 9-10 matchups tonight in the NBA. Well, all you need is one.
I know. Hey, by the way, what did I say? I said Candace.
You said
Candace Carlton is what I said.
Yes, you did.
Charlie Collier.
Charlie Collier, you're right there.
I was in the CC.
CC, Charlie Collier. Well done.
I wanted to call her Candace Carlton, but like not quite.
Just make sure to call her for an assist from Paige.
Samsonite. Yeah. No, I cannot. I cannot. No.
Yeah. See, my team's involved in one. Mavs Kings is late. Bulls Heat is early tonight. So there you have it. All right, Catch. Back to the portal. Buy or sell number 4. Outside of the SEC, the team you're keeping track of the most in the portal is North Carolina.
So,
okay.
It feels like a thing in the last week that they've been mentioned a few times. I brought them up in a buy or sell question. The answer for me is probably Texas Tech.
Okay. Especially after getting the Stanford guy.
Yeah, because they were aggressive in the portal in December. I've watched them. I would probably say Texas Tech.
Okay.
Kind of organically.
They could be a factor in that conference moving forward. I'm really interested to see how they position themselves. All right, Catch. And finally, here we go. Tonight on The Outsiders, the top 5 is your 5 favorite wrestlers as a kid. Your number 1 would be Kerry Von Erich.
Has to be like favorite as a kid. Where are we drawing the line at kid?
This is favorite. Okay, how about this? So favorite as a kid, again, not just best wrestler, that nerdy conversation. Favorite as a kid, say up until the point where having your name on your belt is silly. That's your boundary line. Okay? You know what? Whatever that age was for you when you sort of realize, hey, if I have my name on my belt, that's kind of dumb. That age and younger, favorite wrestlers for you, your number 1 would be Kerry.
Has to be a buy.
Okay. That's what I figured. I couldn't think of anybody else. Yeah.
Has to be a buy.
Anybody else immediately come to mind? Give me a quick top 5. Who you got? Little Ketchum.
I mean, the whole Von Erich, I was a mark for, I liked Lance, Chad. So,
oh my God. So wait, your 5 might be Kerry, Kevin, David. Were you old enough for David? Did you remember David?
I remember. I remember, Chad. I remember walking home from school at would have been the age of 7.
Okay.
And I was walking with other kids that lived in the apartment complex. I guess we'd just gotten off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we talked about David Von Erich and his passing.
Okay.
And I knew who he was. And I knew that it had happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think at that moment, that is when I came in. My first memories are kind of David's death.
Yeah, see, that's the way I am. I don't remember him as a wrestler. I was a Kerry guy and a Kevin guy, but I was never a David guy.
I remember him taking the belt from Flair at the Memorial. Like, I was all in by that point.
Yes, so, I remember the Kerry and Flair match, but I don't remember David as a wrestler.
So there was a real acceleration from the in-between moment of when that happened to then I was in love with Kerry Von Erich at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
And it really blew my mind to later find out about the foot thing. And you know what I mean? Like I had no idea as a kid.
I know.
That my man was walking around on one foot.
Yeah.
Wrestling. I mean, I had no idea.
It's crazy. By the way, is it shameful that Coco Beware and Brutus the Barber Beefcake might end up in my top 5? Is that shameful? Because as a kid, I loved both of them.
I never was down with Beefcake.
Okay.
I never got it. Never got it.
There was something about the hair. Dude, one of my favorite matches of all time was the Von Erichs against Gino and Chris in the hair match. There was something about hair in wrestling that just fascinated me.
Have you watched the WrestleMania 9 thing on Peacock yet?
No, I have not. I saw the preview and haven't seen it. Is it good? It's got to be.
It's not McMahon level good.
Okay.
But it's they try to make it sound like it's the first WrestleMania and it's just the 9th.
What's the first where they went monster? Like they went after the successes they'd had, they went. I mean, that was outdoor Caesar's Palace,
and they tell the story that way.
Yeah,
but there's a moment where they even make the Doink the Clown match sound like, oh, that was badass, and it was a little bit like,
Damn. Okay, wait a minute. So ATX Bates is throwing in. I got a feeling like he'll be a part of the Outsiders tonight. 199, same parameters, most hated wrestlers when you were a kid. I mean, that list is pretty easy for me. Iron Sheik, Piper, Flair.
I hated Flair.
As a kid. Those three immediately come to mind. Who else? Oh, anyone who had like the dark ninja vibe and spit in people's face. Those people freak me out.
You weren't a big fan of the Great Kabuki?
The Great Kabuki. Oh, my Lord. And then Kabuki eventually, I think, turned into a face. I couldn't deal with it. It's still like those people freak me out. Oh, and Kamala. Kamala's easily one of my most hated when I was a kid. When I saw Kamala the first time,
he used to scare me, man. Like,
oh my, whew, I thought he was going to hurt every Von Erich. I thought he was going to break Von Erichs in half. Kamala was so intimidating.
I think Gino Hernandez was up there.
Oh yeah, he was good.
And so when he died, it really blurred the lines for me on hating guys.
Right.
Like I hated Gino. I was maybe 8 when that happened. So you're really looking at it in a real irrational way. I remember my great grandmother used to watch Dallas and she just fucking hated J.R. Ewing.
Oh yeah.
To such an extent that when I Dream of Jeannie was on in syndication and I would watch I Dream of Jeannie, she would walk by and curse him out as J.R. Ewing.
That proves it's one of the greatest characters ever created. If you hate him on a different show, you know what I mean? Like that's the case where when I was a kid, it took me a long time to appreciate Mark Harmon in any role because I saw him play Ted Bundy. And once I saw him play Ted Bundy for I watched the whole damn movie and I could not see him as anything but Ted Bundy for a long time.
Well, in this instance, yeah.
That's
so
funny.
I don't know. Like, I think all of the guys I would have hated the most, though, were in that world-class championship wrestling. Mm-hmm. That's what emotionally got me going. I was a big Magnum TA fan.
Oof, man. Yep. That was a great look. What a look he had.
I hate that they weaponized the nationality against me. I hate that it was like I hated Nikita Koloff so much.
Right. Yeah. And then especially when you get older and you find out those guys aren't even Russian.
Like, wait a minute.
He's not Russian.
He's not Russian?
Kamala had probably never been to Uganda in his whole life. Like, Kamala was from Mississippi. Like, wait, what? What happened?
Yes. Exactly.
What is going on? One other quick one. Corey says, I hated Angle, Triple H, and Edge. Edge stole Lita, that bastard. Corey, you know what I hated about Edge? He's one of my favorite heels, too. I hated the way he kissed Lita. I hated it. When they kissed, I thought it was the most villainous kiss ever. It was gross. It was evil. And it was terrible. It was horrible.
It's not coming to mind. I'm going to have to go see this kiss.
It was the worst PDA. Go look it up. Go look up
right now.
Edge and Lita kiss. It is the most when you see a couple at the bar and they're going at it and it's just gross. Even if they're attractive, they just kiss weird. That's the way those two would stand up on that ramp and kiss and then look at us like they had done something impressive. And I'm like, no, man, that's gross. You need to stop. You need to stop kissing like that. It's so not good. Not good at all. All right, there you go. A little weird wrestling talk to finish the show. Have you seen it yet? Did you look it up?
I pulled up Edge and Lita's Raw wedding.
Oh, see,
nothing. Kiss popped up right away.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you look it up on your own. Trust me, you may need. You may need like a barf bag or something. It's not good. All right, thank you guys for jumping in today. Catch, anything else we need to hit before we close up?
Well, you got through all your questions?
I got through all my questions.
Okay, hold on. Here's one that just says Edge and Lita kissing.
Yes. Just watch. You tell me. We'll get your live reaction to it.
Okay. Well, now the thing I clicked on, I don't even remember that happening.
That's good. I'm about to infect your brain then. I feel bad almost that I'm about to put this.
It's taken a while. Like, I think it may just be playing a theme song or something. It misled me.
Okay.
What I clicked on is not what it's giving me. I'm very disappointed.
Man, you're not going to get the
Just close things up. I'm going to keep trying to find this.
All right, you keep trying to find it. We thank you all for liking and subscribing and getting those notifications. Football with Friends at 6. The wrestling favorite wrestlers as a kid discussion will be a part of the Outsiders tonight, along with our discussion of the portal and parents. Somehow I think Chance and Bo and Jason may have comments on Nico and his dad. We'll get into that tonight at 8:30. Old Fashioned is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And we'll be back tomorrow for a Thursday edition of House Divided. Portal will be rolling, of course. We'll do that at noon tomorrow. Until then, he's Jeff and I'm Chad, and we are House Divided. This is Orange Bloods Live. Y'all take care. And if you're out there kissing like Edge and Lita,